Hello again, my friends, and you are my friends, and welcome to your Monday night Talking Town Extra Time. I am your host, the Gov, the guy that's going to sit in the chair for the next 40 to 60 minutes and try and bring some impartial, balanced views from the world of Ipswich Town Football Club with two fascinating and excitingly wonderful contributors. In addition, to you wonderful people, the Talking Town audience, the ITFC massive, the fans of the greatest football team the world has ever seen, Ipswich Town FC. This evening, we've got some talking points already lined up. But as always, if there's something you want to talk about, if there's an opinion, a point of view, a question, a burning desire to talk about in regards to Ipswich Town, then please do get involved. How do you get involved, I hear you say? Well, there's one of two ways. You can either get active in the live chat. Many of you already have done so. Or you can just simply say, a link will appear, and you can come on the show and have your say. And do not forget, as of this week, all our content on YouTube is now going onto our audio platforms. That's right. You can catch this show on an audio download in addition to Wednesday's show as well. Right, few comments straight off the bat. Fantastic news to start the show with. Philip Blundell has become a YouTube member. Round of applause, everybody, to Philip Blundell. He is leading the way by example. The new captain, Carruthers, the new captain of example, Philip Blundell. If you want to follow his wonderful lead, you can click the link in the chat or the description and get your name in green. Like Stephen Parry, good evening, Mr. Parry. Like Mike D, good evening, the Cruncher. Asking for subscriber numbers. We are doing a couple of giveaways if we can reach 4,000. But if you want your name in green, just like those wonderful people, become a YouTube member today or head to our co-farm, become a fifth stander, and get involved. Dave says he spoke to Mark Ashton today. Thanked him for what he has done and inquired regarding Suffolk Spiders kit sponsor. Oh, well, let us know how that goes. Please do. Right, that link's in the chat. Before we go any further, I will just honour our Talking Town Fifth Stand Ultras, our YouTube members with, Ben Milktray Man has just popped up into the VIP area wearing a tank top. Ben, love it. Show the guns off. Why not? I love it. But thank you ever so much to these wonderful people on the screen. Huge thank you for supporting Talking Town as you do. I do need to add AD Croucher to the list. I have yet to submit a new list to the ultimate oracle, the ultimate power, the higher power of Talking Town, the true governor of Talking Town Towers. But once I do, he will get it sorted. I absolutely have no doubt about that. And you'll be added. But AD Croucher, we salute you and we thank you. Mike D is loving this weather. I've done 3 shows tonight, Mike. One of which will be out tomorrow night. Meet the Opposition. I've literally, put it this way, the Tesco Valley deodorant is working overtime. That's all I'm going to say. It's a bit pongy in here. Good evening, Bam Bam. Philip, thanks for the shout. No, thank you. Thank you ever so much. Right, let's get kicking off. Let's go. Let's go ahead and bring in the one, the only. He is our king of analogies. It is the Milktray Man. The Milktray Man, Ben Adams.
You know when you're gonna go break up from a girlfriend, right?
I've broken up with many girlfriends, sadly, over my time. Ben, you are here, loving the look. Are you enjoying the weather?
It's warm. It was warm today at work. It was warm for the people I was talking to, and it's luckily because the house I live in is built in 1300 AD, so the walls are really thick. Keeps the house really quite cool. But I literally had dinner like 45 minutes ago and I fell asleep. So I woke up about 6 minutes ago. So I'm not quite sure whether this is a dream yet. Very good dream. I often dream of you, but a dream nonetheless.
I don't believe you. I quite frankly think you've been pumping the iron for the last 45, ready to come on the show.
Not very hard.
No, well, yeah. The only iron I pump is one with a board. But all the same, we pump it. Ashley Harris, $8.99 off the bat. Love it, Ashley. Thank you very much, brother. Most probably me overthinking. We love overthinkers, and that beard, by the way, Ash. That's a Talking Town beard, that Ben. That is top notch.
That is an excellent beard. I'm loving that. I love the gap between the moustache and the beard.
Yeah, man. That's almost contributor level of beard worthy. Do you know what I mean? Like he's almost. He should be a contributor with that sort of beard. Like that's what we like on this platform. Absolutely. But what are your thoughts on the behind closed door friendly with Palace being arranged to have a closer look at signing Burn? I haven't heard this. Ashley, you've just literally killed my mood in about 30 seconds flat. $8.99 suddenly didn't seem worth it for what you've told me, Ash. He fits their systems and way they play.
That's the first I've heard of it. I really hope not.
It's the first and last I hope I've heard of it.
I wouldn't read. I think every club looks at all players all the time. We don't need to sell him. We've got more money than we know what to do with. We got so much money. We're actually limited to spend it. Thank you, baby. Have you got to go away? No,
is that the boy band GP? I see you more in 5.
Oh God!
Everybody get up, sing him.
Everybody get up. Yeah.
4. See, even George doing the 5.
Not for me.
Craig would swap him for Zaha. I don't see how that would work.
I don't think there's anyone I would swap Wes Burns for. You don't in any version of reality. You don't swap out your players' player of the season to player of the season. That's just not going to happen.
Cleared it up, Ben. It's not a rumor. It's just Ash thinking it. He's just overthinking the situation.
Ashley, don't. This awesome news going to your head. No,
but I don't think in all seriousness, joking aside, Monday night, I don't think he'd be good enough for the Premier League at this point. I really don't.
No, I think have another season like the one he's just had that actually improves on what he just done. You might have a couple of top level championship players sniffed around and all pay sort of 6-7 million for him, but not. I think you're right, not now. Which is
actually quite a good segue because one of tonight's talking points, my friends, is can we or should we expect the same return from Wes Burns this evening? So actually, that's a nice little tee up. We'll come to that in just a second. Hawks is Cruncher. He's not a Premier League player. Tell you what, let's go ahead. Let's bring him in. He is the designer, George Nunn.
I wouldn't be surprised either way.
Wouldn't be surprised either way. Here he is. How are you, George?
Yeah, I'm right. I was already feeling guns inadequacy, and now I'm also feeling beard inadequacy. So thanks for 30 seconds.
Well, yeah, you should try and. I know you did grow one once. You did.
Yeah, it was a lockdown effort, like everyone had. Yeah.
It was. Look, I'm getting mixed signals here. I'm melting. Ben's wearing the tank top. You've come for a business meeting.
No, it's a golf shirt. You can only.
It's a golf shirt.
So it's like
he looked like a shirt.
Yeah. Look like you turned up for a hostile takeover. I'm here to ladle wood. Here's the beard. Take it or leave it.
Typical Ipswich fan, always overdressing for the wrong occasion.
Cruncher, Nunny looks like you've been on the golf course. Are you do you play golf?
I've retired from golf more times than I've played it, I think.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. Right. Michael Burns is capable of loads more this season. As the Leaf Davis is playing for Leeds this evening against Villa. Ashley, where's Hawks? We're promised the post, but I know, but me and my scheduling, I overbooked, under-promised. And this is what I do best. So we're going to put together a good show. We're going to have fun. I'm looking forward to hearing what these two wonderful gentlemen have got to say first and foremost. Let's talk about Wes Burns. We actually brought it up with the wonderful $8.99 donation. What do we expect from Wes Burns this year? Should we, George, expect the same season from Wes, or is that unrealistic?
I think Michael's got a point there. I think he's probably capable of more, but expectation-wise, I hope we don't have to expect more from him this season. He was probably balancing out the left and the right in terms of workload last season. So if he scores fewer goals, I wouldn't hold it against him or necessarily put it down as a failed season. I'd love to see him do just as well. But I think if we get the balance of the squad right, I think we'll probably just naturally see less of a reliance on him. Is what I'm hoping for anyway. By all means, it'd be great if he scores.
Less of a reliance would be good. I completely agree. Get the balance right, says George Ben. So, but he was our best player last year. If Wes Burns didn't play, we didn't play.
I think that's a great point. It's exactly what I was gonna say, George, is that he was our best player because he kind of had to be. He had to take on those runs. He had to score those goals. And there's something about when you're a player of that level and you have the space and the ability to do that, you go and do it. So it'd be interesting to see what the players around him kind of how that kind of molds his positioning, how far forward he gets, how much he cuts in. Where the manager says he has to kind of stay around. Be really interesting. There's no reason whatsoever to say he won't have as good, a season in the play, that he's just had. But it will, I think the system will dictate it. Any manager worth his salt would say, I'll build that side of the pitch around you, rather than you fit into this plan. Because why would you sacrifice the potential and ability to what he could offer a team?
34 starts last year, George, 12 goals, 6 assists in League One. The year before, obviously not playing for Town, 29 starts, 5 goals, 2 assists. Did we live through the Daryl Murphy years for Wes Burns last year, or are we looking at a player that's ascending, a player that's entering the peak, a player that's becoming the top of his powers? 27 years of age now. Which one do you think is more likely to be the case?
Yeah, I think he's coming into his best years, to be honest. I think last year, this year and next year are the years that I would expect him to be, and if not the one after that, the ones to be the best of his career. So I think we've got him at just the right time, and if last season is anything to go by, he's peaking at just the right time as well. So hopefully we'll see plenty more of it from him, and I don't see any reason why we wouldn't.
Something that didn't happen last year, Ben, is somebody stepping up to the plate and taking or sharing the mantle with him. I don't want to ever hear the words burst Hansley again, quite frankly, so I'm banning that word for tonight. But we didn't have somebody step up last year and join him. Marcus Harness comes in this weekend. How vitally important is it we get somebody on that left side that's going to be just to share the burden?
It's really interesting because I've been reading a lot of their boards. I'm always interested what fans have to say about him. And generally the praise is very good. He can be absolutely fantastic, a world beater. He can change the game. He can do things others can't, but he does inconsistently. Remind you of anyone? So it'll be very interesting to see what he actually does when he comes here. Now, maybe that's the system he plays in. I just, it sounds good. I just hope we haven't signed a left-handed Selena where at 9 to 10 games out the season, he's going to think, holy shit, this guy's going to absolutely destroy the league. And the other 30, he just kind of remains sort of fairly good to fairly anonymous. Who knows? Which
is something Wes Burns certainly did not do last year. I'm, for one, I'm thoroughly looking forward to seeing him play next year. But
me too.
We have to, this is to see. I really think he's ascending and can only get better and better and better. But we have to get that left side sorted out. Not often, George, I wake up to a message from you that you are actually excited. You are, oh my God, this is happening to my football club. But I had that at the weekend. So you've heard what Ben just said there about the Marcus Harness signing and what he possibly could or could not bring to the team. You, I imagine, disagree. You think it's going to be a really consistent threat and a different tool?
No, part of that message was about the fact that nobody saw it coming and it just sprung out of. I just love the fact that that's how we do our business, mostly behind the scenes and quietly, and we'll wake up in the morning, and I was obviously in bed very early, but wake up in the morning and we've signed someone out of nowhere. But and it just seems like a good bit of business. And you look at scoring record, was it 30 over the last 4 seasons, is it, or 3 seasons? And pops in with the assists as well, and he's been playing quite wide. One of the things that I think and I may be misreading it completely, but from his interview and from McKenna's interview as well, it felt like they both kind of avoided talking about him playing too wide. The conversation seemed to be more about him playing inside left or even as a number 10. And I'm not sure that he's been brought in to fix the left-sided problem. I think maybe he's been brought in, as we might talk about if we get to our 11s, to play in behind a striker, and I'm excited to see him potentially playing that role, given his contribution to goals and assists from playing further out wide. So I think he's a great signing.
Good comment by Craig at Portsmouth there. This is League One inconsistency is why most players are here. That's a very fair point. With a couple of exceptions, there were very few consistent players for our team last year. I could actually say probably Burns and Walton, and probably Wolfenden actually were. Probably put Donny on top of that. But those are our kind of little core of consistent players, and the other sort of 6 or 7 players dipped in and out of form. So, yeah.
So I'm just ordering my second pint of water because it is hot, and these lights
hydrated,
are
man.
melting me.
Keep hydrated.
Literally, these 3 shows tonight. Look at the F1 Derby in this one.
Cool.
I'm a puddle. More so than normal. Paul P, it'll be difficult for him. The rest of the division are now fully aware of what he does and will be trying to stop him. Norman team was set up to nullify him. David Burns, not according to Callie, he's written him off after a friendly on the last night show, just like he did last season at this stage, I recall. Okay, I'll let Callie come back to that. Ashley Harris, the left side is equal to Burns. Could see Burns score even more goals, to be fair. He loves popping up round the back. Mike the Fisherman, Burns is high quality. Stupid to write a player like Burns off. A bit like trying to write Flynn Downs off, Mike, but we'll let that one go. Take no notice of Cal, but still talking about Callie. I'll try and get past the Callie comments. Craig at Portsmouth. This is League One. Inconsistent is why most players are here. Yeah. Which is a fair,
very fair. Yeah, and look at the teams that went up last year, where they had their front 2 or 3 men scoring between 18 and 25 goals. There's a reason they're not in this league anymore, because they found the consistency in the right areas at the right times. Consistency is everything. And what is it you always say, Gov? And I'm sure you'll say it many, many times throughout the season. Our consistency is our inconsistency. Yeah. So we crack that nut, we're up, we're gone. But
what we want is for teams to come in expecting that if they nullify Burns, that nullifies Ipswich Town, and if we can make sure that doesn't happen through the middle and down the left, then Burns becomes a weapon again, because they'll have to start worrying more about the rest of the field, which last season, let's face it, they didn't really have to do from a attacking perspective. Yeah. So if we can, right now teams will probably be looking at us thinking, we nullify, we play Burns and be fine. But McKenna's got to make sure that that's not the case come August.
With the signing of Marcus Harness, the rumbles of George Hurst is still happening in the background. Obviously, Marcus Harness played with George Hurst last year at Portsmouth. They linked up many times. Is that an interesting factor, George, to maybe keep at the back of your mind that, this could be a part of a jigsaw you're seeing form with Harness, then Hurst? If Hurst comes in, is it a red herring? Because there's obviously Jerry Yates, there's Malik Wilkes, there's Joe Bloggs, whoever else Ashton's got on the dashboard that nobody knows about. But George Hurst, that rumour still persists. Is that one to keep an eye on, do you think?
Well, McKenna said that they saw a lot of Harness towards the end of last season playing for Portsmouth, and I suspect that's because they're watching a lot of Hurst playing for Portsmouth. So we're led to believe that Hurst is the number 1 striking target. So I'm sure it's probably crossed their minds in terms of how they can link up potentially again to our advantage. So there's no reason why.
Imagine we take him from Portsmouth.
I don't think it makes it any more likely that he's going to sign for us unless, they're best mates and we think that we can use it as leverage. But I doubt that very much.
It would be great forward thinking before we move on the point then to see your football club sort of working in that sort of 3D chess style of, well, we're going to go and get Marcus Harness because we're going to go and get George Hurst, and we want what they had last year, and we know one can't play without the other as effectively, etc., etc. That's really forward thinking football.
Yeah, kind of the opposite of what happened last year with Pickett, really. We kind of got him out of a system he worked in very well and dropped into a system that didn't suit him at all. And now he's gone and he didn't have a good season. So, I mean, Christ, if we were operating on that level of transfer, I would be absolutely thoroughly impressed by us. I'm not sure we're that wise yet, but we'll see. Who knows? I have a feeling if we sign them, Portsmouth will go absolutely apeshit. I don't think they're particularly happy with the fact that they lost what many consider their best player for a loan player. But do you know what? We've been at the arse end of bad deals for 15 years. It's our turn.
Absolutely, it's our turn. Cry me a river, as Justin Timberlake wonderfully sang in the mid-2000s. Andy Barrell, to answer yesterday's question, yesterday's show, we had Richard, one of the new guys, new voices, love new voices on the platform, saying he thinks a couple of players will get 10 goals or more. And he's come back and said he thinks Ladapo, John Jules, Burns, Morsy, Chaplin, Harness, Jackson will get 10 goals or more, and Cruncher would lose his bet. There's two segues I can go with that. I'll go with the more obvious one first of all. We do have some giveaways, home ticket giveaways throughout the year, shirt to give away. If we hit 4,000 subscribers, we are currently on 3,898 with about, we're not too far away. We're not too far away. 30th is the target. So, just under 2 weeks really left to go. About 12 days, I think it is. 11 days from tomorrow. Smash the subscribe button. It's as easy as 1, 2, 3.
I have to start making up some Gmail accounts. I'm making you a subscriber right now. He's just not going to be here till January.
You are. So, well, get him or her a Gmail account, and get them involved. The second segue, before I bring in Basher Blue into the party to have his say, who is going to get our goals from midfield? Midfielder most likely to hit double digits, not called Wes Burns or Connor Chaplin. Who do you think it's going to be, Ben?
For midfield, I've got a suspicion Morsy might, because I think with ball coming in, I'm wondering if, unless my knowledge is incorrect, that ball's more of that kind of in front of the defence.
No, you're right. Yeah, you bang on.
Does that allow Morsy to push up the pitch more and be a kind of that dictator more in a midfield than the central defence? That could allow Morsy to do that. So that could be a really astute positioning on the pitch. And go back to that cliche thing I say every single week, which is often great performances are done based on the fact that other players complement another player. You know, a great position, a great performance will allow another player to flourish. I think Ball could do for Morsy that wonderful role, a bit like what Donatian done for Burns. You know, that wonderful link up, that partnership, that bang to bang, bang to bang, bang to bang. That could be really interesting. So it could come from Morsy. I really hope it does.
Many will tell you though, George, as Cruncher has just done in the chat, he's never scored more than 5, but he is playing at a league below.
Yeah, but Jackson's never scored more than a hatful of goals, and everyone can't get their. Well, I'll say for language, everyone can't stop saying complimentary things about him as often as possible. But Jackson's never scored more than a little handful of goals every season, and it's like, he's had some kind of renaissance. No, didn't he come on and score 3 goals? So same applies. It could happen this year, and if you say Jackson could do that, perhaps Morsy could too. Who knows?
Okay, Harrison Yates, in fairness, never played advanced like he will under Cameron McKenna. Good point, Harrison, like that. Michael, our new man Harness, is a week in, week out starter and will be a major part of our success. Lloyd, I hope you had a great holiday. I'm so sorry you're not feeling too well. Rest up, plenty of fluids. I hope you had a great holiday. It was fully worth it. Kieran, YouTube member, I was just hearing that Tyrese John Jules at Blackpool was woeful. Let's hope he has a better season at Ipswich. Well, he could be in the 10-goal Hall of Fame if George puts him there. But George, we've got Morsy. You can't have Captain or Burns. Who's getting 10 or more from midfield for you this year?
It's Morsy for me too. Honestly,
Okay.
I think.
Tell me why.
I think Kieran was playing him in the advanced role at the end of last season, and I think there was an assumption that was because Evans was missing, and maybe it was, but I think he wants him to push further forward, and I think there's a reason we brought Ball in, and that's to play alongside Sam Morsy and allow Morsy to push forward. And I don't think anything we've seen in pre-season suggests otherwise. And I think goal scoring wise, this could be his breakout year as a central midfielder. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he scores.
I really hope so.
What Wes Burns did last season, goals wise.
Oh, can you imagine? I mean, scoring 2 goals against a sort of half-strength League 2 opposition in a pre-season friendly is one thing. Let's just hope that can translate onto the pitch, because a pre-season friendly does not a finished article make. So I'm just hoping that whatever's there maybe is the stirrings of something really good. So we'll see.
Okay. You've got Harness, John Jules, Edwards, Morsy, Harper, Raheem the Dream, Humphreys, Evans, and obviously Morsy to choose from. Basher Blue, new voice. First of all, welcome, Basher. How are you?
Good evening. Great, thanks. Yeah,
nice to be
on.
Man, welcome in to the party. We love when new people join the party. Leave your keys in the bowl.
Look at those headphones. They're awesome. I need them. They're wicked.
Cheers, man. I don't have any earphones.
First of all, Basher Blue, what made you click the link? What's on your mind, talking town-wise, Ipswich Town-wise, rather?
I've got loads of things on my mind. I've been following all the transfer activity over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and it's been brilliant. It's been brilliant to see all these attacking players come into the club.
Yeah.
I think going on with the question, who's going to get the goals from midfield? I'll go with Harness and Jackson. I would say before Jackson picked his injury up towards the end of last season, I thought that he was going to grab a handful of goals in the last few games, and it just didn't work out. But I would put my hopes on Harness and Jackson getting double figures this term.
I was speaking to an osteopath this afternoon, Basher, and he said to me, this is as close as you're going to get to a Marcus Stewart signing, in the sense of it's a player from a rival that's one of their best. Is he right, or should he stick to osteopathy?
What a question, by the way. That's a brilliant question. I think I would say, first of all, Marcus Stewart, I would say, speaking to somebody that was quite experienced in the footballing world at the time, Marcus Stewart had a lot of brains on him. He was a very intelligent forward player. He had a lot of brains on him. I've not really seen much of Marcus Harness last season. I saw the fact that he was suspended for our trip down there, so he didn't play against us that afternoon. I do like Marcus Harness. I think we've picked up a real good player there. And I'm convinced that he'll get double figures if he stays injury free in the opening 2 or 3 months. He could have an absolute blind in the opening few home games this season if he plays.
Absolutely, yeah. I will follow up and say that he is a really good osteopath. Really good, really, really, really good. If you're watching this, you're brilliant.
I hope he's a better osteopath than he is Marcus Stewart comparer.
Well, I won't say I really said it, not him. But anyway, Wes Burns, I excluded Basher from the conversation. What sort of season can we expect from him from your perspective? Is it too much to say, we're going to get double-digit goals, nearly double-digit assists, or is that actually that's probably his standard now, and he needs to keep at that?
Well, he had an absolute blinding season last season. I just hope it's not a one-off. Because when players have a season like that, it's really hard, really difficult to replicate that season following after. So if he is going to have a blinder, he's going to have to go 1 or 2 more than what he's done last term. Yes, I can see him getting the tally that he set out last season. Is he going to get it? I don't know. So we wouldn't really need to rely on him as much, I don't think, because we've now got so many attacking options.
Yeah, the George effect there, where you need that balance to alleviate the pressure, particularly if he's going to be part of the Welsh squad. Question coming in before I let you go, Basher. Basher, I've absolutely loved you being on. Really nice to hear a new voice and really articulate. So definitely come back to us.
Yeah, come back.
We'll do, definitely. Yeah,
you'll be replacing Ben. But anyway,
nice. Real nice.
No worries, mate. Just keep your toes there. Lewis O'Connor says Ladapo and Jackson are not number 1 strikers. We need a main man. What about you, Basher Blue? Are they main strikers for you, or is Lewis on the money there?
I think the only concern is with the forward players that we've brought in. I think last term the only kind of real aerial threat we had was probably through Piggott, and when he played, I felt that he was quite unlucky not to get the goals that perhaps maybe she should have done. Ladapo, yeah, I can see him, providing an aerial threat. But if we were to sign another striker, I would hope to think that he's a good, 6 foot plus aerial threat. That depending on the style that McKenna goes with, I've got a funny feeling it'd be quite similar to the style that we played last season. But with the strength and depth that we've got now in the squad, you can expect 2 or 3 different formations that he's gonna use this term. But striker wise, I would like to see another striker come in with a real aerial threat.
Yeah, a real sort of Darryl Murphy type.
I agree.
Boy.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
What's Big Dazza up to these days? George, get him on a blower. We'll see what he's up to.
I was going to say we should have had a Darryl Murphy thumb. It keeps coming up.
We should have done. I tell you what, Basher, we did have some fun, or the lads did anyway, trying to come up with their starting 11s for the start of the year, primarily from a formation point of view. I think Ben up there went through 4, 5, 6 formations, because that's what McKenna is doing at the moment, literally like a Rolodex of formations.
Yeah.
What do you think, before I let you go, he's going to be playing?
I think his strongest formation for me would involve 3 defenders at the back. Looking at the double header at the weekend, the Palace and Wimbledon game, I think he started with 3 at the back against Palace and 4 at the back against Wimbledon. So he was doing a bit of experimenting, and I think if he was to go with the back 4, then fine. But I think probably the strongest formation that we're going to have, this coming term will probably be 3-4-3 for me, or 3-4-2-1, depending on which way. I'm saying if you play Chaplin behind the front two, I don't know, maybe Ladapo and say John Jules, or Ladapo and Jackson, for example, and play Chaplin behind. I don't know. But I think the strongest formation that Town certainly had last season was playing with a back three.
Colin, the GOAT, totally agrees with you. And Cruncher asked the pivotal question, are you subscribed?
Yes.
Have you got a partner?
Do you know anyone in your life?
Yeah, literally.
With an internet connection.
Walk into the co-op and say, you there, you, cashier, subscribe to this channel. Do it, Basher.
We'll do, absolutely.
Cost the Cruncher money. That is the aim of this game. We promise you. Basher, honestly, it's been great having you on. Please do come back.
Thank you very much. We'll do.
Love it. Love it. George, new voices. Always like to hear new voices. I have just had a WhatsApp, though. This person is literally figuratively jumping up and down about Sam Morsy. He is not happy. I'm not saying names, but I've got a WhatsApp. Not many people have access to my phone number. That will narrow it down.
I'll guess it.
Who do you think it is?
That's Sam Morsy.
Yeah.
Callie.
No, it's not Callie. It's not Callie.
Colin?
This is I won't say who it was, not Colin. He's messaged me a picture of Sam Morsy's career stats, George. 447 appearances, according to Wikipedia, that notoriously correct source.
Yep.
And can you guess how many goals he got out of those 446?
I don't care.
I don't care. I like that.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Defiance. I love it.
I don't care.
I don't give a fuck. What are you going to do?
Thought that Piggott was going to score 85,000 goals last season because he had the one half-decent season in his career out of 12 seasons where he averaged something like 3.
Hey, take that, motherfucker.
For that. With the greatest of respect to Joe, he had one good season in his career so far where he scored more than 15 goals. And he's only had 2 where he scored anywhere near 15 goals. So he was never going to score 40 goals last season, even if he played 42 games. So
absolutely,
you can read so much into career statistics, but he's been a holding midfielder. And if McKenna sees him as something else, then he's going to push him forward for the first time.
I think the Crunch wants to make it interesting, George.
Hey, no. I'll tell you what, though. The link is available.
You put it in the chat here.
The link is available. I want to hear from Callie. I want to hear from the Morsy representative, his agent. Callie, the link's there, man. We need you for the balance, because if Basher was the measuring stick of how to be a contributor clicking into the show, well, this man here, he would never be compared to a measuring stick, because normally he'd be using it to beat somebody with it. It is the fisherman, Mr. Mike Brown.
Hey, man.
You take the measuring stick and use it as a weapon, because you're not happy. Sam Morsy, 10 goals. You're shaking your head more than the Churchill dog.
Not in a million years. If you want to listen, Morsy is a quality midfielder. Yeah, no getting past that, right? But he is not a quality midfielder going forward and scoring loads of goals. That ain't going to happen. 26 goals in 447 games. That ain't never happening in a million years. He plays best mopping up and breaking down attacks. That's his role. So let him do that job. Why change?
Do you think he's going to do that with Ball, though? Do you think he and Ball are going to share the duties in the field?
To me, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You don't. That's like asking. Look, let's be honest, okay? So I'd be like asking Walton to play as a striker.
Did you see
No disrespect. He can probably strike a ball. And maybe
did you see Morsy playing advanced last season? Did you see that? Like, and I'm not being a dick about it. Like, did you see him playing more advanced last season? Because apart from his finishing, which you can work on, I thought he got in some. I think someone's just said it in the chat. He got in some fantastic positions, and
so
I honestly don't see any reason why, if he gets a full season.
I agree with Fish on that.
Playing in the role that I suspect he's going to play, if Ball is going to play, I see absolutely nothing in it, regardless of where he's played before. Because I agree, he's good at mopping up. I think that's a good role for him. But if I was McKenna, I would be slightly nervous about the number of yellow cards he picks up from that mopping up duty that he has, and I would probably try and fashion him into something where his role is something slightly different, so that A, he doesn't get booked too much, and B, hopefully he scores a few more goals.
But the reason why we have struggled in this league is because we haven't been tough enough. We haven't. The only shithouse of a player that we've had is Norwood, and whenever he's come on, he's always give 110%. As he said, play on the last man, bully the last man, and he did that. And and love or hate him, whatever but I rated him, and he did what he said. He did what was on the tin. And the thing is with Morsy, he's one of them type of players. You want that kind of battling midfielder. Otherwise, we might as well just be a softy touch team.
But why can't
Morsy
Morsy
plays
do it
better
further?
as a holding mid.
You're talking about Norwood doing it further up the pitch. Why can't Morsy do it further up the pitch? It's not like Norwood
Norwood's
dropped
a
back
natural
into
striker.
deep midfield.
Morsy isn't. Why change? You can't change. You don't go change a player in this late in his career. If he was 23, 24, I'd have more truck with what you're saying. But the reality is, he's not. He's played a position for so long.
When we turned him from one end of the pitch to the other.
Sorry?
How old was Richard Naylor when he went from one end of the pitch to the other?
I think it was, 25?
Was he?
No.
25, 26, something like that. Morsy's 29. You can't go changing players.
That's not mega old, mate. And you're not asking.
You can't.
You're not asking him to be a four-wheeled car from a three-wheeled van. You are just simply releasing.
Not even asking him to move from the left to the right. It's not
but
like to learn how to play football with his one foot.
Mike, I want to. You brought James Norwood up. Let's go with James Norwood. Let's put money where mouth is. Let's have a little gentleman's wager on how many games James Norwood is going to start this year. You set the number. I might lower it a little bit because I know how unrealistic you can be.
So you want me to give look? I'm not going to go and turn around and say
how many games are you going to start for Barnsley? How many games are you going to start for Barnsley?
I'm not going to sit there and say how many games Norwood will start at Barnsley.
I'll say 15 or less.
That all depends on fitness. But I guarantee you now.
Which he ain't got, Mike.
Doesn't matter. Martin, at the end of the day is, mate, he scored one goal in 2 games. How many Jackson scored? How many Jackson scored in this with us? And I'm supporting Jackson. I think he's been a different player under McKenna. Right? I'm still on the fence with him, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. But you're asking a 29-year-old to change his position and do a different role on the football pitch that he's done for years and done successfully for years. Right. That's absolutely ridiculous.
Harrison says,
"Look, it's all about opinions.
It is. No, it is. And I love yours. More Harrison.
About opinions, and we don't agree.
Yeah.
I get that.
100%. No, 100%.
And that's the beauty.
I'm trying to pick a fight with you, Mike. I'm just
no.
I don't allow that sort of.
I am, you bastard.
Harrison.
Yeah.
Harrison, Morsy was class when McKenna came in, getting forward. Craig says, Mike, you're right. When we came into this league, we looked like a bunch of kids, Bishop, Lancaster, etc. Stephen goes further and says, I think Morsy provided more and more forward role last year, same as George. Could see him getting 10 with ball holding, giving Morsy more freedom. Mike, I've got Callie to bring the balance. Let him have his say.
God, yeah, go on.
Let him have his say. Callie,
Callie, how you doing, man?
Can you hear me? I'm on my phone, so
we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. How we doing? First of all, I saw my name in the chat, so I thought I might as well jump up. So first of all, let's address this David Burns, Wes Burns.
Hang on. No. I'm not having that, Callie.
No. I'm just addressing it because he's saying that I writ off Wes Burns, which I don't recall writing him off at all. All I said, and correct me if I'm wrong, last season was Burns' best return as a professional footballer. Facts. Yeah? So, which kind of leads me on to this Morsy thing about we're talking about, Morsy hasn't scored a lot of goals, this, that, and the other. Burns didn't score a lot of goals before he joined us, and then he lit up last season, right? Player of the year, no doubt about it. So, Morsy now, under Kieran McKenna, anyone will tell you that seen Morsy play under McKenna, particularly the last part of the season, and there is a dig there I could throw at Mike, but I'll leave it alone for a sec, right? But you can clearly see Morsy gets forward. His goal return will be there. 10 goals, guaranteed. Guaranteed he gets 10 league goals this season. He's sitting. He's that attacking outlet. He drives. Even, I've rolled one up, Mike. I ain't smoked it yet, so don't worry. Right? But even under what's his face, under Cookie, he was getting forward and got a few assists and everything like that anyway, right? So now you've got someone like Don Ball who looks like he eats nails for breakfast, right? Who's just going to be sitting back and sweeping up. Of course, Morsy's going to have that freedom to get forward. Morsy's a neat footballer. I just don't get why people are saying, "Oh, he can't do it. He can't do it."
No, Callie.
Hold on, wait. Hold on.
I ain't saying he
No,
can't
let
do
me
it.
land, bro. Come on, man. Let me finish. You've had enough. Let me finish, right? My point is, before Burns signed for us and completed last season, this time last season, no one would have said Burns would have got more than 10 goals. Facts, right? And I'd be very surprised, right? Maybe 1 or 2% of the fan base would have been like, yeah, Burns is going to get more than 10 goals or whatever. He lit it up, right? He's under a good manager. He's played a good formation, played in his good place and all the rest of it, good position. Now Morsy's playing a bit more advanced under Kieran McKenna. Why can't he do the same thing? Just because you think he should be a holding midfielder, you speak to Sam, he says he's a box-to-box midfielder. That's his preferred position.
I have no issues. With Morsy getting forward. That's absolutely ridiculous. To turn around and say not Morsy not to get forward and sit there and hold. He's got an opportunity to go forward. That gives us another midfielder in the box. But Morsy has done his role for so long and he's done it so effectively. Right, I just don't understand this mindset of he's got to score 10 goals this season, or he's going to score 10 goals this season. For me, he works better bringing in players and getting forward, opening gaps for players than scoring goals. Look, I know he scored a worldie the other day, a 40-yarder, right? But at the end of the day, that's great, and I think that's great, and I do rate Morsy, but I do think. He's this pressure on he's got to score. He'll score 10 goals and stuff. Let him play to his strengths. Let's not add extra pressure to his game when he is, like you rightly say, he is a box to box midfielder. I get that, and that's what we want from a captain. We want that captain to get forward. We want that captain to get back. And with Dominic Ball in that holding role as well, it'll give Morsy more license to get forward and maybe make Morsy a little bit more creative with what he can do when he is further forward.
No, like I said, that's your opinion, but it's just you've got Kieran McKenna who's managing him and coaching him, putting him in that role. With respect, you don't need Ball and Morsy sitting deep in this league. Like if we're just gonna sit deep, we're just gonna invite pressure. That was our downfall last season, right? We let so many teams back into games, right? Because we sat back. This way, you haven't got to worry about that. Sam gets up the field, Ball will hit, sit and hold and sweep up or whatever. He's gonna get 10 goals this season, Mike, and you're gonna be smiling, you're gonna be happy, and he'll be on the way to promotion. And dare I say it, we'll have a happy fisherman on the fucking channel.
We look. At the end of the day is. Right, if he scores 10 goals, I'll be shocked.
When he scores 10 goals,
5 or 6 goals, I'm going to be happy regardless. Okay, because at the end of the day, that's where he is. He's had 447 games, scored 26 goals. Do you know what I mean? And with respect to Kieran McKenna hasn't coached Morsy. Morsy's had coaching from other good managers. Otherwise, he wouldn't be the player he is. So he's not being coached by McKenna. He's being asked to do maybe a different role. But I still think, like you say, I agree. He doesn't want to be sitting there and just mopping up and holding. If he's got an opportunity to get forward, which is what I said, that will open up gaps. It will open up opportunities for other players to get forward as well.
Not part of the coach. You're saying he's not being coached by McKenna. Obviously, he's learnt things under other managers. I get that. But this more attacking outlet, this more forward role has come under McKenna. And anyone in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong. Anyone in the comments who saw our games from, since McKenna come in, right, all the second half of the season, could see that Sam was playing more forward and he looked good. That's not me being biased. Any of you guys can tell me that. I'm not being biased here, right?
No, but the only thing I would say, Callie, having seen more.
Martin, you're on mute, mate.
Me.
No, Martin, I think you were trying to say something, but it was on mute.
All right. For me, right, when I've obviously I know you like to bring up the iFollow dig and all that, but when I have been at games and when I have watched him on iFollow, Morsy does get forward, but sometimes he puts himself so much out of position that when we are hit on the counter, there's no one there. He's not there to help out. Do you know what I mean?
But you got Ball now.
That, you
got Ball there now. Ball will sit there.
There was times when he was playing right back. There was times when he's playing left back. That's not what you want from a midfielder.
Right,
you want a midfielder to be in the midfield.
All right, you're not going to settle this because you both got different points. You both different, which I absolutely love. It is. I'm going to get a few comments. Callie,
Mike
Mike,
knows I love him, mate.
we all love each other on this channel. It's all about opinions and respect.
I've got to say, I'm just going to I'm going to do fencing there because Mike brings up a very good point that I think what Mike's saying is don't take what was one of the best attributes of Morsy last season and try and change it because he was very effective there. But also, I'm probably not, and I totally agree with you. I hate shuffling players in different positions, and we've been undone so many times by that. But I'm also going to say that I do think Morsy can get those 10 goals because we had that kind of holding back midfielder of ball. I just only get to about 3 home games a year, so I just hope I'm there to see it.
All right.
Mick McCarthy days.
There we go. Kelly, Mike, I love you. Appreciate both of you. Let's make our heads a bit smaller. I'm going to get a few comments because the chat has been very busy through 2 fantastic contributors there, just sticking to their guns. But what we're about on this platform, honest, passionate debate. It's all about the opinion. Own it, control it, and then George will tell you if you're right or wrong. Isn't that right, George?
Yeah. So it works.
Judge, jury, and executioner.
On or
what
off
George is.
Generally in life.
I'm just the guy that sits here in the balance chair. Andy Barrell, we're going to score at least 20 more goals this year. I think these will be shared out the way LM will play this year. We've got Sarah Davis, who's Wes Burns, is never a one-trick pony. I said from the start, he's one of our best players. Ashley was going with what Callie was talking about there in the sense of there's no way we'll need 2 holding midfielders. We have a back 4, 3 centre-backs. Morsy going forward looked potentially exciting last season. Daniel Bradish, a new name. Love it. Get involved more often, Daniel. Welcome in, brother. Morsy will do exactly what he did last season and get forward. He couldn't do it when Carroll or Evans was in the side, but with Backinson, he could. Ball is a massive upgrade, which is a fair point, George.
Yep. And absolutely. And stepping back to the one-trick pony thing, I think we've said it before, and we've definitely said it between us that versatility, I think, is one of the key attributes that McKenna and his team look for in players. I think that's stunningly obvious, and I don't think there is such a thing as a one-trick pony when it comes to a Kieran McKenna player. I don't think he's going to bring someone in just because they've just had a 25-goal, 30-goal season. I think he's going to bring someone in because he's looked at them and he thinks that, as he said with Harness, really, he thinks that they will fit into the style that we want to play and that we're aiming to play, whether that was what they were playing last season or not. So I don't think you should read too much into what position he was playing in last season or any seasons before. And the same goes for any of our existing players. I think if McKenna, Pert, or whoever sees something in a player, and I see Mike's point that Morsy may have been dragged out of position last season when going forward, but I don't think that's necessarily an issue with him going forward. I think it's the issue was with cover in central midfield from a
correct, absolutely correct.
And as Ali says, we've got ball now, and I genuinely, I might be miles off of the mark, but as soon as we saw him at Needham, Ball looked like the player that was going to boss our midfield.
Oh, yeah,
right.
You know, and I think that's exactly. I can't imagine he's going to do anything else because he doesn't. No. He looks like he's wearing Connor Chaplin's skin. It's really weird.
he is a mean-looking bloke. He really is.
He's going to be an absolute beast for us next season.
Can't wait to see this guy. He got me excited.
No. Oh, he's good. Ollie asked the key question about Daniel. Have you subscribed? I hope so. Right, recharge those glasses. We've had George, 10 goals for Morsy. Ben, 10 goals for Morsy. Callie, 100 million goals for Morsy. Mike, not 10 goals for Morsy. I'm the balanced one. Let's hear from somebody else in just a second who I don't think he'll get 10. But first of all, recharge the glasses.
Ipswich Buses, your local bus company. Don't get stuck in traffic. Ditch the car. Go green. Go contactless. Go Ipswich Buses. Fares available from £2.20 return, a fantastic price and a fantastic service. Ipswich Buses, proud to partner with Talking Town.
Okay, we will just come to this gentleman now and we will clear the debate up and then we'll move to our starting 11s for the campaign if it was to start tomorrow. And for that, we'll use your 2 teams and we'll bring in Stephen and Louis at some point to have their say on this evening's proceedings. Thank you both for hanging on in there. But first of all, 7 times 10, well, that equals 70. Rich.
I mean, what have I joined here tonight? We've got a rap star up there with his cap on backwards and his vest on, and then we've got
fight for your right to party, man. Fight for your right to party.
I think I've seen Nunny strolling down the 18th yesterday at St Andrews.
If he's got the money to do it, drop the co-phone, Nanny. Rich, you sent me the Wikipedia pictures. You've got your 7x10 laugh emojis.
Well, I was talking to Colin this morning, right? So Richard was on yesterday, right? He said 7 players will score 10 goals. So spoke to Colin. Do you know how many players in the 1981 team scored double figures, Martin?
Oh, 5?
None of them.
4. Paul Mariner, Anna Brazil,
Walk.
Eric Gates, John Walk.
No, what's Walk?
There's only 4.
Rich.
How many
Yeah,
did
it's
they
changed.
score
So I've looked. So I dug out Man City last season. They did actually have 7 players who scored 10 or more. But Gundogan scored 2 goals in the last game of the season. So he squeezed in there with 10.
Still counts.
So, yeah, it does count. But obviously it counts, Martin. The thing that made me laugh with Richard, he said we'll score 80 goals, but he said 7 players would get 10. So it's not leaving much room for anyone else. But he did say, George, that Luke Wolfenden would score 10 goals. Did you hear that?
I would take 10 from our defence combined, to be honest.
No, he said 10 from Luke Wolfenden. He put his house on
and
it.
I agree with him. I completely agree with him. Why
Great.
not?
I'd
Why not
love it.
Luke Wolfenden? Why not?
Is he taking pens? Is he on pens this season?
Who knows with Kieran McKenna? It is about, forward-thinking, progressive football.
Maybe we're going to
see him
turn him into a striker.
What about
Possibly.
Sam Morsy, Rich? You were jumping up and down figuratively about this.
I wasn't
Clear
jumping
it
up and down. Look, I don't always agree with Mike. He talks a lot of shit sometimes, but
As it is.
tonight
Subtle.
I thought he was bang on. I thought he was bang on the money. By the way, congratulations, Ben, on your imminent arrival on the 4th of January.
Yes, mate. Congratulations.
Thank you, mate. He's going to be a left back. You've only got to wait another 18 years.
Callie says, Crunch, what was Burns' stats like before he joined? Why is it so hard to believe that a season under Kieran McKenna?
Look, I'll take that. I'll take that point. But Sam Morsy's 30 now. Are we going to try and reinvent him? If he scores 10 goals, brilliant. I think he'll score possibly 6, 7. We do have to take into account the amount of yellow cards Martin he'll pick up, and he's probably going to have a couple of suspensions through the season. So if you're saying he's going to score 10 goals and he's probably missed 6 or 7 games, he's probably going to have to score 1 goal in every 4, which I think is a big ask. I think it's a big ask. That's just me looking at his career stats, what he's brought to the table. And I'll take George's point totally on board.
Hang on.
Under McKenna.
I know what Callie's done. He's including pre-season goals. It's obvious. That's what's happened. It makes sense. We're cracking up. He's got to score 8. He's got to score 8. 8 in the season.
I do take your point, George, that he's McKenna's getting him further forward up the pitch. And I do look. What did he score? 3 goals, I think, at the end of last season.
Yeah.
He scored at Fleetwood, didn't he? Then scored at. He should have done. But if he scored 6, 7 goals, I'd be quite happy with that. I really would. If Sam Morsy scored 6 or 7 goals, Martin, I'll be really happy with that. And I think the goals will be spread around this season. Harness is coming in. He's got 30 goals, Ben, in the last 3 seasons at Portsmouth. So he knows what this league's about. I think he'll be.
That's more than Jackson's got in this entire career since 2014, isn't it? So fantastic. I mean, that's almost triple the strike rate. So brilliant.
Saj, Morsy will smash it this season. Have more for him to get forward at times with the signing of Ball. I can see him getting 10 goals, if not more. The preseason games have shown this.
Right. So, you don't want this to happen.
Half strength League 2 side. I can't. I'm not buying that. It's a half strength League 2 side.
I think last season, end of last season hinted it, and I think if he's, you can't take anything away from the fact that he's scoring goals in pre-season because they do still count as goals. He's still putting the ball in the back of the net, whereas he might not have done previously. So you can't just dismiss them completely. But I'm not reading too much into the goals that he's scoring in pre-season. I think it just everything that was happening towards the end of last season with his positional play. And the fact that we've brought Ball in and not another more attack-minded central midfielder suggests that the aim is to push him forward. And based on what I saw last season, I wouldn't be. And I'm not saying he's going to get 10 goals. Like, I absolutely admire Callie's.
I did say Joe Bigger get 24, by the way, George.
I know.
Wasn't your finest moment, Crunch?
But, I don't think you can read too much into.
He's had many final moments.
It wouldn't surprise me if he scored 12 goals next season.
Well, we are going to need probably about 80 goals. I'd have thought, guys, to be up there in the mix. If you look at all them other teams,
100 goals, 100 points.
Start that again.
But we got 67 last season.
See,
67 goals.
And we were shit.
Look at the teams that went up. No, none of them scored under 85.
I think Rotherham bended. Rotherham didn't score that many, but they had a really tight defence until them last few games.
They didn't leak any goals though, did they?
Yeah.
They were tight at the back.
That's what it is. Right, Crunch. Have you moved from that chair since yesterday?
I went to ref tonight. No one turned up, and I got paid. Happy days. Anyway, 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock tomorrow night. Ben Stokes show. Don't be late, everybody. We're here again. We're here again, and Martin wants me to do it from outside, George. Every time I do a cricket show, do it from outside, even in November, because he said an hour tops.
He stuck to time because it got dark on him. He had to end the show.
There's nothing I could do.
Brilliant. I had to go to bed on time. It was fabulous.
Anyway.
And you got record numbers, so the numbers speak for themselves.
We've had over 500. We've had over 500 views. We got the last two shows combined were about 400, and we've had like 520 already. So it must be them dodgy. It must be them dodgy accounts, Martin, that you were telling me that are subscribed over in far away places.
There you go.
We are Taiwanese subscribing fun.
We are worldwide. We are worldwide. Somebody wants you to spend some money. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, we're closing in. Let's just say, not many days left. So get that Google account created, Ben, for your little one.
Done.
Right, Crunch. We love you. Appreciate it. Look after yourself. I've enjoyed the rest of your evening. Right, we've got Craig at Pause. We couldn't see him by the end of the show. Yeah, I know. It was great, Craig. He had to end the show. It was like, I'm going to go to bed on time. Right. If the season was to start tomorrow, what would be your starting 11? I'm going to run through George's. Then I'm going to bring Stephen in to critique it, to talk about it, because he's the oracle. And then we'll go to Ben's, and then Louis can do judge,
on this
jury,
point. Just to segue in, I'm just looking at Colchester's starting 11 tonight. Shamwell George, Cameron Cox, Luke Chambers, Tommy Smith, Ryan Champlin, Cole Hughes, Alan Judge, Emmy Hughes, Freddie Sears, Frank Nouble. I mean, Jesus Christ. Talk about a B team. Just glance past it and starting 11s.
That's a C team. That's a C team.
That's like going down to the the sludge refinery and seeing your turd again after you flushed it. It's just not good.
He's got away with birds that wears up, Ben. Right, George, your team.
Yeah, I'm going to get pelters for this because Chaplin's not in it.
Right, you've got Walton, Donatian, Wolfenden, Edmondson, Burns, Ball, Morsy, Greg Lee, Marcus Harness, Tyrese John Jules, and Freddie the Goat Ladapo. Mm-hmm. Talk to me, George. Why the formation? Why the players? And then we'll bring Stephen in.
I mean, I think probably the back seven plus Walton is a given at this point with the players that we have. True. Where I struggle and why you got two versions of my team until you forced me to settle on one of them.
No fence sitting.
Is the front three. And I think, no disrespect to any of the people that I've left out, because I could easily have put any number of them in there. And I think if I'd put one behind two, Chaplin would have been that one, and probably would have put Ladapo and John Jules front as a two. I think that's what the other one was. Mm-hmm. But as I was going through this, and I was making bends as well. The more I thought about it, the more I thought Harness and John Jules in behind a central striker. Again, which at the moment I think will be Ladapo until we find the
agree with that
primary striker that we're looking for. I think something about that from the little that I've seen of John Jules, and I admit it is a little, and what I know of Harness, I think that could be a really productive front three. Playing like that, but as I say, if there was a one behind, if someone was playing a central 10, it would be Chaplin for me.
That is a big shout, Tyrese John Jules in over Connor Chaplin, but we love that on this show, this platform. Big opinions, big points of view. Stephen, Chaplin on the bench, Tyrese John Jules in George's team. You've heard what he's reasoning. What do you think of it?
I can't leave Chaplin out. I'm sorry. I like Harness in there. I've got a lot of respect for John Jules. I think he's going to do well. I'd have to have Chaplin and Harness on the left behind Ladapo as it stands. Yeah. But I do think, like I said, we're going to bring in another. I like Greg Lee. I think we're going to start with Greg Lee. I think, like I said, I think there is a left back in play, but the season will probably start, and I think we'll start with Greg Lee and just see how he goes. If he does well, we might just keep him, But if a deal comes along, we might bring somebody else in. But I think Chaplin Harness is the number 10s and Ladapo will play because we've got the 5 subs. Tyrese John Jones can come on and change again. Edwards could come on and change a game. Jackson can come on and help change the game. There's a lot of players and there's a lot of fluidity in this forward line that everybody can play practically anywhere, and you'd get a tune out of them. Now that's the key. I see a lot of things on Twitter today. People going, it seems like everyone's freaking out every time somebody else buys a player. I'm thinking like, Derby had 5 players. You surprised the buying players. I'd be more concerned how old they are rather than who they're getting. The top and bottom of it is like we've got a settled side and we're just adding to that. Pretty much like what Liverpool have done. They've got a team. They've just had 2 players to it, and no one's weak. No one's wigging out. We're just adding a little bit of stardust to what we already had. And I think that's where it's going to be. And there's going to be a lot of players who will play different positions. Harness might even play left wing back. We don't know yet. We don't know what they've turned around and said to him. It goes back to what I said yesterday. It all depends on the conversations that they've had with players, which we're not privy to. We're just trying to speculate on what that is. We'll find out come 30th. But I do think it's more likely Harness and Chaplin as the number 10s as it stands with Ladapo ahead of them. But I just want to make a point. It's like some of the deals that we've got probably will drag on into August. So the players we've got now, I'm quite comfortable. We can go up against anyone in this league and win. Yeah, people can disagree with that. Fine. I think it's good enough now to take on most of the teams in this division, if not all of them. Yeah,
I agree.
Everyone has their flaws, and it all depends on the day. 11v11 doesn't matter who's buying what and who's buying who. You've got to be 11 performing on the day. As long as our team goes out there and performs to their maximum on the day, we're a match for anyone, whoever they buy. Because they're not going to be buying Messi or anyone like that. So we know the sort of opposition we're going to buy. And that's why I said the other day, I think these friendlies were a huge learning curve for some of these players. Because playing in League One, you forget sometimes how mistakes can cost you. And when you play against people like Benteke and people like Plange and people like Zaha, they will exploit your mistakes. And they saw that firsthand. And they think, Christ, I do that, and these will annoy me. It won't be as bad in League One, but they could still do it. And it reinforces that message to them that these are these sloppy things that you get used to sometimes because you don't get punished. The higher up you go, you get punished. And it helps to reinforce the fact that you need to do things a little bit more strategically. And I thought we played very well against Palace. I enjoyed that game. I thought the passing and the movement was fabulous against the Premier League side with some really good players in. I never expected us to win. I was surprised with 4-2. But, the patterns of play and the way we played, we passed them off the park at times. And they had some really good players in there. And that really cheered me up, and it gave me a lot of confidence. And I think that's the way it's going to be. I think we're going to start the season with what we've got. We may get one signing in. I couldn't tell you which. But I think we might get one. We might get one. If we don't, we're fine. But I think some of the deals might drag on into August. And I think we need to be mindful of that. That we're all right as we are to start the season. And let's get the best player in. I'd rather get the best player in and it take a bit longer than rush out to get anyone. Because then that's when mistakes happen.
That's when you end up with players that are not fit in the system. Florida Man, $20, which I think translates to about £16. And this Boris doesn't open his mouth today.
Well, the dollar's 113 to the pound at the moment, which is absolutely shocking. So, hey, thanks, man. I really appreciate it, man.
He said you're looking good.
You're a great guy.
Bricks and Pieces, new name. Hope he's got his uncle's moves. Old Danny John Jules. McKenna recruits.
Uncle. Who's his uncle?
Who is his uncle?
Danny John Jules is his uncle. It's Tyrese John Jules.
Oh, there you go. Florida Man. McKenna recruits half positions, 9.5, 5.5, etc. Yeah, I can see that. Ollie startup. Parry is damn is so is. Oh, Parry is some damn fine. Oh, he's wearing some fat.
I
wearing
had to put it on. It just arrived. They just both of them just arrived this morning, so I had to put one on.
Fresh.
I've still got the
Love
bag.
I love it. Parry, I think we're undercooked still at left back, but I do agree with you. I think if we go into the season like today, I think we're okay. I think
I think people are underestimating Greg Lee. I really do. You get people saying that we're still a bit weak on the left. I think people are underestimating Greg Lee. He started off at Manchester City, so I know you can say, well, it's Manchester City's academy; they'll take anyone. Well, they're very picky. They won't just take anyone. So he's got something about him, and he didn't go to Morecambe because it was like Ericsson going to Brentford. It was his only shot, really. And he was only there for a year because he only signed a 1-year contract. So I think people are underestimating Greg Lee, and I think he's got more to him than what people actually think, people actually realising. And I hope he does get to start the season. I think because Leeds are after left backs, I think the Davies one will come back onto the table later on in the summer. But I hope he does start the season, and I hope he starts well. And people might start saying, well, do we need another one? I think we do.
He's probably the most natural fit to that position that we've had.
I think we do need another one because I don't think Penny's good enough. But that's my opinion. But it might take until it might be like last year when we got Selena and Morsy right at the end of the window. It'll probably be something like that. And I don't mind that because unlike last time, we didn't have those quality of players in there at the time. So we were like losing games because we didn't have that in there. Now we can start the season running with a core of the squad, and mostly all the positions have got balanced.
Absolutely. Time is running out on us. Stephen, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. As always, good opinions. Louis, you've been waiting so patiently. We'll bring on in just a second, but time is escaping us. Ben, your lineup is Walton, Donatian, Wolfenden, Edmondson, Burns, Ball, Morsy, Lee, Chaplin, Ladapo, and Marcus Harness. You've got Chaplin in, whereas George didn't. So tell us what you think kind of Chaplin brings to the party and why he should be in your 11.
I mean, it doesn't really need to be said by now, does it? Just look what he's done last season. Goals, pace, link-up play, attitude, fitness, all massive parts of someone who is a quick forward number. I think the defence is pretty self-explanatory. Morsy and Ball, I think, very similar to George next to each other, with kind of Ball and that more holding midfield, and Morsy probably just behind Chaplin. And you got your two flying wing backs. So bit of balance, bit of steel, bit of speed, bit of fitness, some goals, and of course the two front two, which none of us really know too much about. So it's a bit of a crapshoot.
Yeah. Andy Barrow, we are fitter, faster, better prepared coming for the season. Andrew, if the season started today, would have dropped 2 home points. Definitely feel we need a clinical finisher. Florida man, wow, bold lineup. Is there anywhere, Ben, when you were trying to sort of put this team together before I bring Louis in, where you thought, actually, I don't want to put this player in. I think we need someone for this position. Is there still a glaring hole in the team?
For me, it is a striker. It really, and the left back, I know, I think that will come, and who knows what will happen. But for me, it's a 20-goal a season striker. But we're a League One club. Very few 20-goal a season strikers get kind of bought by League One clubs unless you get very, very lucky as part of the swap deal. The Championship clubs will buy clubs like that. Everything else below it will, it will be someone coming into form that you don't expect. It might be that Morsy getting 10 or 11 goals. It will be something like that, which does something spectacular with goals. But I mean, can you name a 20-goal a season striker out there that we pay money for and can get? I just can't do it. I can't name it.
It is difficult, but some will say, you still say, we still need that goal scorer. Louis, we still?
Do.
Go on, Ben. You say we do.
Louis,
do we need that goal scorer? Are we still light?
Firstly, congratulations, Ben, by the way. So, basically,
thanks, Ben.
Right. Well,
you're not a dad yet. How old are you, Louis?
16.
Yeah, don't become a dad yet. So save it. You've got a lot of life to live. Strap it before we do anything. Right. That's fatherly advice.
Thanks. Firstly, I think keeper, back three speaks for itself, really, for me. The wing backs, I think that speaks for itself as well. I think that all that's fine, and I think I agree with Stephen. I think people are underestimating Greg Lee. I think that's a bit of a steal, really, from us. I think he's going to be a really good player.
What do you think he brings? I don't know a lot about him. So what do you know? No. Presumably, you know more than me. I don't know a lot about him.
From what I've heard is that he has pace, probably. not far off, I think, Wes Burns. I think he's good at going forward and he's like not bad at defending. And I've heard that apparently he can take set pieces. I don't know if that's true or not, but apparently. I don't
Jesus.
know. I don't know.
Forget the rest. That's it. You're employed. You have a job. 3-year deal.
Graham Tate, 20 goals, Drin and Gov. I don't feel, honestly now, this is real talk. I don't feel like it's a show unless Graham pops up with a Drinnan comment. Honestly, if I don't see Graham post about Drinnan on a show, I go to bed and worry, and I hope that Graham's doing okay. It's a great part of my show, Graham. Never stop, please, messaging me about Drinnan. You fucker, Drinnan. That guy's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life. Literally, the FA Cup. We'll be in the FA Cup final in 10 years, and he'll be giving the fucking trophy over. That's what'll be happening, or something like that. There'll be something happening. Tyrese John Jules, have you heard a lot about that man, George?
Me? No, not loads. No. Only that he's highly rated, or has been highly rated as a youngster, and he's looked sharp. And the fitness video that he put up, he looked pretty sharp in. I know it was only 2 minutes or something, but he looked pretty sharp in that. So he's obviously kept himself
2 minutes.
I think he. I've got a lot of hope for him. Let's put it that way. I think.
Yeah.
He looks like a strong loan signing. He doesn't feel like someone that's just come in for the sake of coming in. So
he won't win the Louis Barry Award of loan players then.
No, hopefully not. I mean, I think we've said before. We've got 7 subs. We can make 5 in 3 plus halftime pause events this season, and I think that's going to impact strategy through a football game. I think we're seeing it in the Women's Euros. I think we saw it a little bit, but not quite so much during lockdown when they introduced it temporarily. But it's in there now, so it's something that I think we will be planning. Someone like McKenna will be planning how he can fill the bench and make plans to basically change the way we play if we need to change the way we play, and that will mean changing that front 3 or potentially going to a flat 4 or whatever it might be. We'll be prepared for it, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to see us making 2 or 3 substitutions at half time if we're not doing how McKenna thinks we should be doing in a game. I think
keep forgetting that we've got 5 subs.
Yeah, we need a bigger squad because of it, and I think you need a bigger squad, and you need a stronger, deeper squad as well. And I think that's what we're seeing, because you look at some of the players like Tyrese, John Jules, and probably Lee as well, and you think, well, why would we bring in another left back? Given the on paper, he looks like one of the best left backs in League One last season. Why would we need someone else? But that's probably because we're thinking about how we can play multiple formations in one game of football.
Florida Man, and because I didn't say it earlier, Florida Man, thank you so much for your kind super chat. We really appreciate that. Thank you. We just need 80 goals. 30. That crocodile you've got in that picture. Hell,
there's a gator in the house, Mama.
Look,
whereabouts in Florida are you, Florida Man? Whereabouts in Florida are you? Stick it in the chat.
He's riding.
Spent years there.
I've seen many things in my life, but never a man riding an alligator. We just need 80 goals, 13 more than last year. Stop sniggering there, George. Forget the 20-goal scorer and focus on getting a team on the pitch that can produce the 80 goals. Look,
we've got that.
Louis says we've got it. Well, Louis,
confidence. Love
there's
that.
lots of talk in the chat about a name I don't want to talk about, but I'm going to have to say it. Bersant Selina. Some are saying he's on the way to Turkey.
Get over it. Fucking hell.
It could be a holiday. It could be a sign-in. Would you be upset if Bersant wasn't wearing the mighty shirt that Stephen, not the same shirt, obviously, but the mighty shirt that Stephen was wearing 5 minutes ago?
Honestly, yes.
You
I'm
would?
only saying it just because I've only been a fan of Ipswich since 2015, and he's, for me, the best player I've seen, probably, in an Ipswich shirt. Or he's at least one of.
To be fair, that actually makes a lot of sense. I totally get that, because what you've just said is you've just avoided unbelievable amounts of time of heartbreak, at least a decade of your life of heartbreak. And he probably actually would be the most technically gifted player you've seen at Ipswich Town in the last in that period of time. So I totally understand where you're coming from there. And I suppose we're all kind of old enough to have seen the revolutions, and I think maybe because we're a bit more longitudinal our expectations. I always say that I like to see a player who gives me a solid 7 out of 10, 40 games out of 45, than a player who gives me a 10 out of 10, 9 out of 45, you know. So it's more that kind of less than a wham bam thank you man, and more of a kind of consistency through the season. So but I do, that makes a lot of sense actually.
Louis, I'm sorry you're waiting so long, but 1 hour 14, I'm roasting. I'm literally lost 2 stone in body weight, but I'm gonna have to close the show in a second. Before we do go, are we light in any one position for you? Is there anyone that's really, if the season had to start this Saturday coming, we really desperately need him?
I think the backup and depth maybe.
Okay, yeah, so that's not been said before. I mean, you've got Raheem the Dream there, Louis. Don't be forgetting about Raheem the Dream. Who?
Who said that? Who said that?
I like Raheem. I think he's underrated. I like him. Always did. Always did.
Only the greatest player we've ever seen.
Better than Mariner.
John Wart wakes up wanting to be Raheem the Dream, all right? That's what I know.
Hold on. Has everyone just literally forgotten about Lee Evans here?
Who?
Lee Evans.
He's no Raheem the Dream, Louis.
No.
He's no Adam or Connor Humphreys, or Luke Humphreys, or Mike Humphreys, or whatever Humphreys' first name is. I can't quite remember it.
Wet dreams dream of him. It's fantastic. He's brilliant.
They were absolutely. Louis, we love you. Look after yourself, all right?
Cheers,
Look after yourself.
Cheers,
Harper only 21 says Florida man. He's in Miami, by the way.
Miami, love Miami. Beautiful. Been there many times.
Yeah,
love it.
Have you ever rode an alligator?
I've fed many alligators before. Yeah, loads of times. I've spent years of my life in America. So
I've heard pigs are easy. You know.
Yeah, it's a picture. It's in the Disney castle. This is where I got married in America. Although America is in my heart, in my soul.
Didn't you visit America recently?
Yeah. I texted you from. I videoed you from the front of Animal Kingdom. I think.
How many weeks ago was that?
That was the week we actually got pregnant. I think so. That was.
This is where I'm going.
I can say it. It was 16 weeks ago exactly. Yeah.
Look at that. Magical dreams do
come
true.
The heat. I can perform in the heat. Fine.
Well, my performance in the heat has come to an end. George, it has been a wonderful show. Thank you so much for both. Yeah, people often say that about poor Mrs. Governor. But anyway, we're done with Dusty. George, you're going to be, I'll release you to go and start work on reading those books in your shelf. I can see they've not moved since the first time you were on a show, so you're clearly not reading them.
They're stuck in. It's just a cardboard facade.
Cardboard. Fair enough.
Very
Green
good
screen.
wallpaper.
George is working on something that we may bring to you hopefully very soon, which will be very exciting for those asking about the Prediction League. Keep your eyes peeled. Ben, you can go back to touring with E17.
What do I do when I'm not doing here? I don't even know what I do. I'm going to stick my balls in the freezer. I know that much. I'm absolutely roasting at the moment. It is horrible.
It is hot.
It's now the heat has actually now gotten beyond me.
You're being a bit modest. If you want to see Ben when he's not on a show, head to Butlins for a weekend, the Retro 90s. That's where you'll find him and his band members.
Real nice. Yeah. Everybody. You'll never see me down at Palmer Road because, I'll never go there.
No. Hit subscribe, follow us, join us. The conversation continues on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those wonderful things. You'll find top contributors on there. You'll also find me. Support us through the link, Ko-Fi, YouTube membership. But until Wednesday at 8:30 with more Talk in Town. Talking cricket tomorrow, don't forget. With love, with care. George, Ben, Gov.
You make me smile when I think of you. If I get down knowing that you're blue, I can't get enough. You make me happy, I feel so fine. Oh, how I wish that you were mine. I can't get enough. I woke up all soaked in sweat, with chills running down my neck. I felt went crazy from just the thought of